Hi, welcome back. It's wonderful to have you here on this journey of self-discovery and inner growth through the wisdom found in great books. Why do human beings constantly search for happiness and peace in this life? The answer is surprisingly simple. It's because we lack the very things we seek. Everyone has experienced moments when life doesn't go the way they want. What you don't want keeps happening. What you long for remains just out of reach. Throughout an entire lifetime, you cannot avoid the suffering that comes from irritation, conflict, anxiety, and resentment. And in the end, every one of us must face the pain of death. The problem is that we assume suffering is simply the natural order of human existence. You don't realize that suffering has its own laws, its own mechanics. And even when you do catch a glimpse of that truth, most of the time you're not willing to invest the effort to understand those laws deeply enough to find a genuine way out. And so you suffer again and again, spinning through the same endless cycle. You scramble after happiness, but rarely touch true peace. So what is the path that can bring suffering to a complete end? Over 2,500 years ago, the Buddha saw clearly into the nature of reality, the cause of suffering, and the way to end it. What method did he use? The Buddha's unique and unparalleled contribution to the world was teaching us how to turn inward, to observe ourselves, to penetrate the true nature of reality, and ultimately to experience for ourselves the truth that frees us from suffering. And that method is Vipassana, insight meditation. The word Vipassana means to see, to observe with ordinary eyes. But Vipassana refers to a special kind of seeing, the observation of reality as it actually is within yourself. From childhood, you've been trained to look outward. You've rarely turned inward to understand this body, this mind, your patterns of behavior, and the reality of who you truly are. Because of this, you have no real understanding of yourself. You don't see how deeply you're shrouded in ignorance or how powerfully you're being driven by unconscious forces within. The Buddha said that within this very body, just a few feet tall with its mind and perception, the entire universe, its arising and passing away, and the path to its cessation can all be found. The entire universe and the laws that govern it can be experienced right here, within you. That's why the only way to free yourself from suffering is to observe yourself directly. But what exactly do you need to observe? What do you need to understand? Today, I'd like to share with you a book that I truly believe. If you feel the pull to find a path of transformation, a way out of suffering, you absolutely need to read in your lifetime. It's called The Art of Living, Vipassana Meditation. This book introduces the Vipassana method as taught by S.N. Goenka. Goenka is one of the most influential Vipassana teachers of the modern era. He is widely recognized as the person who revived and spread this meditation technique across the globe, helping millions of people find inner peace and transform the suffering within their body and mind. This book is one of his most celebrated works. What makes it special is the way it presents the Buddha's teachings. Simply, clearly, and with remarkable logic, giving you a genuine understanding of Vipassana as a method. From there, you can build a comprehensive path of practice for yourself, one that gradually frees you from suffering, from old wounds, and from the ignorance that has quietly governed your life. So what does that path look like? First, you'll need to understand what truly causes suffering. Along the way, you'll discover what karma really is. You'll learn how the 12 links of dependent origination, the wheel of suffering, actually operates. From that foundation, through continuous practice and self-observation, you'll quickly begin to realize the fundamental truths of impermanence and non-self. Finally, you'll see the critical link that can break the chain of cause and effect. And when that chain is broken, suffering comes to an end. But to sustain your Vipassana practice, to keep observing reality within yourself, you also need to place yourself on a systematic path of total transformation known as the Noble Eightfold Path. Walking the Noble Eightfold Path is like undertaking 3 trainings: morality, concentration, and wisdom. This is a logical, comprehensive roadmap left by the Buddha, teaching us how to liberate ourselves from suffering. The journey out of suffering is not some empty promise. It is a science of the inner world, one you can verify through your own experience. More than anything, this book is a map that guides you toward discovering reality within yourself. What I'm sharing today contains no dogma demanding your belief, only questions that go to the very root of things. And along the way, you'll continuously come face to face with yourself, breaking apart old assumptions, unconscious reactions, and layers of attachment that have silently shaped your life for a very long time. Gradually, you'll begin to see the real causes of suffering in your life, and you'll realize you can start right now, with the very next breath. Observe the truth within your body and mind, and eventually see that liberation isn't somewhere far away. It's right here, in each moment of clear awareness, right in the present. And I sincerely hope that you will find true peace and genuine freedom on this journey. Now, let's begin with the first great question. What is the root cause of suffering? Every awakened being has taught the same thing: know yourself. So if you want to understand the cause of suffering in your own life, you must first begin by looking inward at yourself. Look at this body. It represents the material dimension of existence. You think you can control your body at will, but in reality, you have no control over the functioning of your internal organs. Countless biochemical reactions are taking place in staggering complexity, and you're completely unaware of them. If you look even deeper into the ultimate reality of the body, what appears to be a solid, stable mass is actually composed of countless subatomic particles and empty space. And these subatomic particles are anything but fixed. Each one exists for less than a trillionth of a second. They arise and pass away ceaselessly, like a continuous stream of vibrations. Over 25 centuries ago, the Buddha discovered this ultimate reality of the body and the material world. And today, modern science has come to agree with that very truth. The Buddha realized that all matter is composed of tiny particles he called kalapas, the smallest indivisible units. These particles exhibit the fundamental properties of matter: hardness and softness, representing the element of earth; cohesion, representing water; motion, representing wind; and temperature, representing fire. They combine to form structures that appear solid and enduring, but in truth, they're just clusters of countless kalapas arising and dissolving without pause. This is the ultimate reality of matter. a continuous flow of vibration. And your body is no different. It is not a fixed, permanent entity. It is simply a stream of matter, constantly arising and passing away, changing from moment to moment. From the body, let's now turn inward and look at the mind. Because the body appears stable, many people believe there must be a fixed, unchanging self within. Everyone lives with an instinctive assumption. The I of yesterday, the I of today, and the I of tomorrow are all the same person. But the Buddha saw that no permanent self exists. In truth, the mental processes, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness change even faster than matter. So what you call the self, what you call the ego, is nothing more than a continuous series of mind-body events, one arising after another. Each state is shaped by the one before it and becomes the cause of the one that follows. An unbroken flow of change. This body, this mind, they are not fixed. They are not your true nature. And yet, so many people cling to them fiercely. They cling to the pursuit of sensory pleasures in the body. Like a person addicted to drugs, they become hooked on experiences that feel pleasant. But the moment one desire is satisfied, the next one arises. When craving becomes a habit, happiness becomes impossible. Or consider how you cling to your self-image. For every person, I must be the most important figure in the world. So the ego constantly wants everything to go its way, pulling in what feels pleasant, pushing away whatever is unpleasant. But life in this world is really the collision of one ego with another. Each person lives in a state of turbulence, pushed and pulled by the energy fields of others. So the moment you try to control everything according to your wishes, the result is inevitably suffering. And finally, you cling to the things you call mine. You believe that the more you own, the more you can reinforce your sense of self. But whatever arises must also pass away. The moment of separation will surely come. The more tightly you cling to what you have, the deeper the suffering. In short, suffering is born from not seeing the selfless nature of body and mind, and from refusing to accept that all things are impermanent. As long as the mind clings to the illusion of a fixed self, as long as it identifies with every role and label, as long as it craves to hold onto something forever, it will keep pushing itself into the cycle of suffering. But to see even deeper into the root cause of suffering, you need to examine how exactly these attachments arise within you. The Buddha saw that attachment is generated by the conditioned reactions of the mind. What does that mean? First, you have to begin by questioning the mind itself. Why does everything start with the mind? Why does suffering originate in the mind? Take a moment to look at the reactions that repeat themselves in your life. There are situations that instantly make you angry. There are words that cut deep and wound you. There are things that trigger immediate craving or fear. These reactions don't appear by accident. They are the product of mental habits that have been forming and repeating for a very long time. In Buddhism, these habits are called karma. Many people misunderstand karma as fate or destiny, something predetermined that cannot be changed, but that's not what it means at all. Karma, in its original sense, simply means action. And because it is action, once you become aware of it and take responsibility for transforming it, you absolutely have the power to change the course of your life. Because every action operates according to the law of cause and effect. What you think, say, and do, that is the cause. What you experience in the present, that is the effect. Your life today didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was shaped by countless reactions and behaviors repeated over and over in the past. Every time a reaction repeats, the karma behind it grows stronger. If that reaction is rooted in craving, aversion, or delusion, then suffering will continue to grow. Karma, then, is not a fixed sentence. It's an ongoing process being created in every single moment of your life. That is why the Buddha said that each person is both the heir to old karma and the creator of new karma every single day. So what exactly creates karma? There are 3 types of action that generate karma: actions of the body, speech, and mind. Conventionally, people assume that physical actions carry the heaviest karma, followed by speech and then thought. A punch that injures someone seems far more serious than a negative thought. That's how most people think. But the Buddha saw it differently. He saw that the intention behind the action, the state of mind, is what matters most. A surgeon uses a knife to save a life but fails. A murderer uses a knife to kill. The outward action may look the same, but the mental state behind each is completely different. And so the karma produced is entirely different. When you look closely, both speech and action originate in the mind. Whether a word is kind or cruel, whether an act is good or harmful. It's all determined by the state of mind at that moment. That's why the reactions in your mind are the deepest foundation of karma. And that is why the Buddha taught, mind is the forerunner of all actions. Mind is the chief. Mind is the creator. All suffering in human life, when traced to its very root, originates from the conditioned reactions of the mind. So what is the core reaction that keeps suffering alive? Within every person, there is a wheel of suffering silently turning, day after day, and perhaps even life after life. And most of us never even notice it. This wheel doesn't turn at random. It operates according to a natural law called dependent origination, the 12 links of conditioned arising. With ignorance as condition, mental formations arise. With mental formations as condition, consciousness arises. With consciousness as condition, mind and matter arise. With mind and matter as condition, the 6 sense bases arise. With the 6 sense bases as condition, contact arises. With contact as condition, feeling arises. With feeling as condition, craving arises. Craving and aversion. With craving as condition, clinging arises. With clinging as condition, the process of becoming arises. With becoming as condition, birth arises. Birth here means coming into existence. With birth as condition, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair all arise. And so the entire mass of suffering comes into being. It sounds complicated, doesn't it? But think of it like a chain of dominoes. Once the first link is set in motion, the entire cascade of suffering unfolds. To understand it more deeply, let's walk through each link. Let's begin from the moment the mind makes contact with the world. That is, from consciousness. According to Buddhist teaching, the mental aspect of a human being consists of 4 processes: consciousness, perception, feeling, and reaction. Of these, consciousness is the receiving part of the mind. It simply registers that a phenomenon is occurring, a sound, an image. This registration can occur because the stream of mind and matter is in motion. Mind here refers to your mental processes. Matter refers to your physical body. Put simply, it is because body and mind exist that registration can happen at all. And mind and matter function because of the 6 sense bases: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. These are the 6 doors through which you make contact with the 6 sense objects: sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touch, and mental phenomena. In other words, you experience the world through contact. Your eyes see images. Your ears hear sounds. Your nose detects scents. Your tongue tastes flavors. Your body feels touch. Your mind encounters thoughts, memories, and emotions. And the moment contact occurs, feeling immediately arises. Feeling here means the sensation you experience after contact. It can be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. It's important to note that in the beginning, sensation is simply a neutral signal. Before it becomes pleasant or unpleasant, the mind passes through a process called perception. Perception is the mind's activity of recognizing, categorizing, and comparing with old memories. It has a natural tendency to evaluate and classify. Is this good or bad? Is this praise or criticism? Is this helpful or harmful to me? Once perception begins to label and distinguish, the neutral feeling shifts to pleasant or unpleasant. And it's precisely this reaction of liking or disliking that creates craving. Craving and aversion. From craving comes clinging, grasping and holding on. From clinging comes becoming, the process of forming and reinforcing patterns of body and mind. From becoming comes birth. Birth is not only the arising of a new life. It is also the continuous arising of mental states, emotions, and suffering in every single moment. And wherever there is birth, there will inevitably be aging, death, sorrow, grief, pain, despair, and anguish. And so, the great mass of suffering comes into being. But the critical question is, which link is the decisive one? The one that keeps the whole wheel of suffering turning. Let's go back to the very first link we discussed: consciousness. What gives rise to consciousness? It is sankhara, the conditioned reactions of the mind. How does the mind react to conditions? If the sensation is pleasant, the mind begins to enjoy it, wanting to hold on, wanting more. If the sensation is unpleasant, the mind resists, becomes agitated, and wants to push it away. At first glance, these seem like small, fleeting reactions, but they have an enormous power to accumulate, far more than you realize. Imagine your mind as a river that never stops flowing. In each moment, it takes a particular form. In the very next moment, it shifts slightly. Throughout your entire life, this river keeps rushing forward. And even in the final moment before death, that stream does not stop. That stream does not stop, but with mindful awareness, you absolutely have the power to change its course. Thank you so much for joining me today on this deep dive into the roots of suffering and the path to true liberation. If this video brought you value or sparked a moment of insight, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear this today. What part of these teachings resonated with you the most? I would love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so we can continue this beautiful journey of self-discovery together. Until next time, breathe deeply, stay present, and be well.